the hottest topic at the moment with real estate, and no one knows what's happening on the coalface. So they're asking the people on the coalface. Good morning, Mr. Burgio.
Good morning, Mr. Mark Novak. Everyone, welcome to Morning Minutes. My name is Michael Burgio and Mark Novak, and today's topic is prices up or down? What is happening due to COVID-19? What have we seen on the front line? Mark, take it away. What's your thoughts?
It's a couple of things, because you've got residential, commercial, and you've got sales and rentals. So probably at the moment in the last week, the most talked about seems to be rentals. It's taken a bit of focus away from sales prices and sales. So because landlords are sort of getting forced to negotiate on tenant payments. So it's, everyone's putting the magnifying glass out saying, well, if my tenant does move out, is my rent going to be higher or lower in this environment? So guys, what we've seen with rents, and we're exposed to, there's 180 offices in our core region. We're the northern beaches of Sydney. So I think we're a really good reference point to give you an idea. In addition to that, we manage 3,000 landlords and tenants. So again, we're a really good reference point to say, this is how the rental market's going. Now, the rental market at the moment, I would say we're probably, tenants are a little bit, probably as a majority, a little bit cheeky when they're going into properties now, because they feel like they can be in a hard economical market. They're probably right.
What do you mean, cheeky, Mark? Are you saying like unusual requests of having pets and animals? Are we talking about shorter, longer lease terms? Are you referring to when they move in, or are we talking about the price that they're asking? So
with price, they're having a hack. They're having a hack out there, and some of them are pulling it off. So so tenants going in offering maybe 5% under what's being asked. So something that's 600 a week, they may offer 570 a week and actually get it, because they're appealing to the landlord's emotions, and the emotions are, let's just lock something in to batten down through this. And it must be a good tenant, because they understand the new financial environment, and they're still getting the properties.
A big thing that landlords now are looking into, Mark, they're just looking at their career a bit more, as in the tenant. Are they in hospitality? Are they in travel? Are they in hotel? So
are they an essential tenant? So suddenly, if you're a tenant that works at Woolies or McDonald's, you're actually a pretty good tenant.
Because you know something, Mark? I was with a buddy who works with one of the big banks of Australia. And do you know what a memo they sent out yesterday was? Any loan, internally, of course, any loan application with the partner or any of them in travel, hospitality, food, basically rip up the loan document, the pre-approval. Or first call them and get evidence that they're still working and not affected. If they are, that application is in the bin. So if you were a travel agent, or you worked in hospitality, or you worked for Qantas and you got a loan approval that normally lasts 90 days, that's now basically been ripped up.
All right. So we've established the takeout. We've established rental market for tenants and landlords. And if you're reletting your property, have the prices changed? The answer is yes. Yeah. And it's probably by about 5%. Because tenants are making a little, and the landlords are willing to rent it a little bit less if they've got that security. Tenants want to take a bit less because of the economy.
And Mark, just to clarify on that point, do you reckon that little bit less is due to a smarter tenant leveraging the times, or is that because there's no tenants out there?
A bit of both.
Yep.
So if you look at the amount of properties that we're actually leasing, where unfortunately we're going through a bit of a bubble, because it's harder to show a property that's tenanted. So where a tenant does give 3 weeks notice, and we say we're going to start showing in a week's time, now they're sort of saying, nah, I don't want anyone through until it's vacant.
Yeah.
Now, that's not reasonable. But, there's a little bit of an arm wrestle over that. So some tenants are compassionate, understanding. Some tenants are not. So we're just working through that as an industry at the moment. That's rental prices. let's talk about sales prices residential.
Okay. I think the no open homes is I think it's more what's happening there is because we're showing properties a lot and a lot of private appointments, but I feel that the stigma or the attitude out there for buyers is they can't see it. So I think it's very important for us to continue with the promotion of properties and letting people know we can do private appointments, because a lot of people who may not be as in their finger on the pulse in what's happening in real estate, because they could just be buying their first property or they're just a bit of a passive buyer. I think there's some assumptions out there you can't see a property, so why inquire on it? Which obviously is incorrect. We can show a property, just not do a public open home. So I think it's just getting that message across, because we've got, as you said,
That's
Mark,
that's a real simple message, hey, and you're
yeah.
right. I reckon, that's what's happening. It's with some.
Definitely. And I think it's where it's almost like as an agent, you always want to just work with the hot buyers, and there's for every 2 hot buyers, there's 6 buyers that are sort of on your fence about buying. And I think now a lot of them are gone and we've just got hot buyers to deal with. So we do have less buyers, but there are still a lot of buyers who really want to do deals. So a message out there to owners, there are still a lot of hot buyers out there. I think just expand your days on market expectation. We're not where we were in February, where we're getting 80, 100% clearance rates. Those buyers are still out there, but I think it's just imperative to market your property on all platforms, and also have an agent who's adapting to these times with your virtual.
So prices up, prices down.
I think they will be, down. Well, there's no data, but I think they will stay flat or down. What's more, we won't be getting. Last month, we were having a lot of stories of back where it was 3 years ago, where you were guiding 750 for the property and it was selling for 900 because we just had a lot of activity. That activity, a lot of it's gone. So if you're guiding 750, I think you're going to get 750 or 800. You're going to get where the value is. So I think values are steady.
So I reckon prices have dropped 100 grand on a $900,000 property.
No, because the property was originally worth 750, but with huge amount of
you just said you're getting. Well, that's right. You just said you're getting 900. Now you're getting 800.
Correct. Yeah, but it was.
So you reckon 100 G's down on a property? I reckon. I reckon that's harsh.
No, I'm not saying so the agent value was 750 to 800. That was.
I'll ask the question a different way. What was a property selling for 2 weeks ago? What's the same property selling for today?
Yeah, well, in that way, if it was 900, now it's going to be 850, 800.
Okay, so taking a chip for maybe 50 to 100 on a property in 2 weeks, the market swung 10% in your opinion?
Yes.
Okay. I reckon probably what we're seeing is, well, I'll give you an example. We had a property under contract. Actually, it's actually just under negotiation at the moment. It's just gone under contract now, so I don't want to disclose the price or the address. But I will say there was a difference of, we exchanged it pre-big COVID, sort of about 3 weeks ago, and it just got re-exchanged this week. The difference in price was 6%. It was 6%. So there was a 6% swing from, and before we had like 30 people through before it got exchanged, and now since it came off, it came back on the market, had another 30 people through. It's probably a good cross section. So, ladies and gentlemen, the market, I reckon Michael reckons 5 to 10%. I reckon probably 5 to 6%. That's where the market swing is for sales. There's more properties on the market. So realestate.com.au, our core market has 185 real estate agencies, and our core market has 100,000 homes. Our core market at the beginning of March, 1 March, March had 550 properties for sale. It now has 750 properties for sale. But we were saying before, Michael, off air, that's a lot of those people were just already coming on the market. So they were already on, they're just staying on. Do you know what I mean?
I think the true, because they're the people who were like, this is a great time to sell, let's sell. They probably already had everything. The true test will be April and May to see the numbers there, because that's people, I think everyone who's come on this month had decided pre-corona to come on, and they're just following through with it.
Yeah,
now
they've spent the money because you can't get your money back. So once you put it on, once you do your realestate.com and domain, there's $4,000. You just leave it on, wouldn't you?
Yeah, and if you don't get the price, you don't sell. So, and if you get it, you're never obligated to sell. That's what a lot of people sometimes forget. So I reckon the big test will be end of this month, early May, to see the numbers, because they're people who have made the decision during the COVID time to get.
Yeah. And as an office, in terms of the volume of sales, ladies and gentlemen, the volume of sales that we're experiencing are probably at about 60 to 70% of where they were the 2 weeks prior. It seems really weird to be reading the market on a daily basis, or like we are now. We used to read it on a quarterly or a monthly basis, but definitely, like, so where we may do, five deals a week, 7 deals a week. We're probably doing more like 3 to 5 deals a week in the last week. And the week before wasn't really a reference, because we'd already pre-negotiated a lot of those deals and those people proceeded. So
we haven't had many drop-offs. That's one thing. Like, I think the people who are buying are still buying. I don't feel we've had many, because we've had a lot of deals pending go through this week and last week, which we've been working on for a couple of weeks, and some were a couple of months, and it didn't scare them off. I think it's just new people who were sitting on the fence just probably won't engage. So I think
people realise that they're not going to get that. It's cheaper to buy than it is to rent. So heck, let's just buy it. They realise if they need to rent it, it's going to make the money, and they don't have to chop it up. So even if they don't have a job, it's going to support itself as a property. So I think it's multifaceted. I think people realise that they may not get that loan again. The banks may decide to not lending.
Well, I just gave the point. If you're in hospitality, tourism, they probably won't lend to you, because if your job hasn't been affected, it probably will be. So you're high risk.
You're high risk, and you may already have a loan approval that's just sitting there. These loan approvals, believe it or not, loan approvals are for 90 days. So I think a lot of people, and the world's changed in 7. So I think that the bank's model of a 90-day approval being in place may change in years ahead. But at the moment, people are optimizing on that and saying, you know what, I've got that approval, I just got to buy.
Yeah, if you've got a pre-approval and your job's been affected, you need to buy now, because once they're going to be looking at that very quickly. They don't miss it. They don't miss much, the banks, do they, Mark?
No, and I think a lot of them are doing the processing now, have got a lot more time to process, because they're sending a lot of some processing work offshore. So labor is cheaper to process loans and to run magnifying glass over loans. You know, it's than what it used to be. So they're getting really good at it. You're right.
NJ and Gerard, thanks for watching. For Brizzy, Lisa Kramer, thanks for on. Lots of people on today. If anyone has any questions or topics you want us to cover, or if you want us to go through a scenario that you may be in or friends are in, feel free to always, you can just send us a private message, do a voice recording of the scenario, and we're happy to discuss it on air for everybody to get the benefit on, because we're all going through this together, and happy to share good things and bad things to help people get through. What else do you want to?
But in summary, what are the takeaways, Michael, from what we've spoken about today? So with pricing, with rentals and sales,
Yes.
I think we can agree that
Both of them.
rentals has probably taken a hit to the tune of about 10%,
Yes.
and I think we can agree that sales has taken a hit to the tune of about 6%.
Yes.
Now, what do you reckon? That's crystal ball stuff. Do you reckon that's going to keep going, or reckon that's just it's a leveler now? That's the new norm.
Yeah, I think it may have a little bit more in it to go down potentially. I think it could go either way. Once now people are adapting to the new norm, it could maybe creep down another 2%, or I could see it creep back up another 2. I think there could be a swing of 2.5%. Either way, just depending how people react to the new norm. So I feel people could come back and then activity comes back, or it could get a little bit worse depending on how it gets worse publicly. But I think the COVID, we've had some really good results in the last few days of new cases actually going down. So that could swing it to the market to come back at 2.5%. So I think there's a swing of 2.5%, 5% up or down. And that's where we're at. What do you feel?
Down, up, down,
down,
up,
a little bit
down,
more.
Up. I reckon. Look, I really think it's something that I'm really passionate about is what's essential and what's not.
Yeah.
And I've got to tell you what is essential right now, if you're in isolation, is space, good quality space. So and a good quality internet connection. But that's changed. Where we used to rush out to a cafe or restaurant, or rush out to a park, we cannot. And I think we're looking around our house going, look, I want to, I reckon places like Bunnings would be doing pretty well just quietly. Homemaker places and office furniture, home office furniture places would be doing really well lately. And I think property prices are holding for that reason, because people are looking around at their castles saying, you know what, I do want a bigger place, or you know what, I do want to spend money on this kitchen, or you know what, I do want to improvement on my home. So I think there's going to be a refocus on standard of living in your home because of what's happened now. And I don't think we're going to throw into the garbage bin everything that we've learned in the last 2 weeks and the next 12, 16 weeks ahead.
Well, you know what, Mark? I remember we were showing a property together 6 months ago, 9 months ago, maybe even longer. And it was basically we were talking to buyer about how habits have changed, how people are willing to sacrifice having a smaller kitchen and maybe not even a dining room anymore, because people are not eating at home. They're going out. So people they just over time has just that, because think of 5 years ago or 10, 20 years ago, your grandparents, your parents, everything evolved around the kitchen and having a meal there. And that has slowly weeded away. Just like what we said in another topic, Mark, where it's a bit of a factory reset of what's essential spending and not. Like if you look at your grandparents and what they would count as essential compared to how my generation has, or our generation has, where it's like $20 eggs and bacon. Like they wouldn't do that then. And we also fell in that trap, or not trap, we also fell into that progression with what's necessity at home. Like back with our grandparents, kitchen, dining table, you sit down and have a meal. Over time, with people working more, they've actually gone, well, I'm happy to sacrifice no dining room table because I'd rather live in the city and we eat out all the time. I don't really cook, I get meals. So I think now this isolation will be taking us back to, we do need some basics in properties. We do need a kitchen, fully functional kitchen with a dining table. I just think this is a big wake-up call to people who, or maybe an adjustment for people who were eating out 7 days a week.
And convenience always wins. And what this topic about today, guys, is where property prices have gone in the last 2 weeks. And we've answered that by saying, look, 6% with sales. We've probably chipped about between 5 to 6 to 10% on sales, and rentals has probably chipped about 10% downwards in that very short period. But we are also saying that we feel that that's a big leveler now because of that. This is the new norm, and I've got to say that people are chasing convenience. When people realise it's actually not that hard to cook a meal, because that's what they've been learning the last 2 weeks.
Yeah.
When people don't realise that they're self-training themselves for sustainability and they're self-training themselves for convenience, then they will continue that convenience. So when it becomes easier to toss a salad together and throw some meat on the barbie rather than call Uber Eats, it's like, actually, you know what, we can have it straight away. I've already bought everything. Let's just do it now.
Yeah.
Whereas we weren't trained to do that before. I'll give you an example. Ladies at the moment can't get their nails done. What does that mean?
Learn yourself, or they just get really long.
Spot on. Well, they got to do the color. They got to do the whatever. They got to do the shellac. They got to do this, that. So what starts to happen is the daughter says, let's learn how to do it, mum. And mum says, look, I'll do your nails and you do my nails, and then we don't have to go down and spend whatever it costs to get our nails done. The new norm. So, and where's that done? At home. Yes. So I think the essential home is definitely forming to be an essential thing in our economy, and people are going to start dwelling into their homes more, and people are going to start demanding more out of their houses. So I think the property prices are going to be good, if not better, over the next couple of months.
Yeah, good point. Well said. Well, it's almost, you got your breakfast at Novak very soon. Let's wrap this up. Anything else you want to add, or is that good?
Have a lovely day, everyone. Go out and look at properties by appointment. Call the agent. Book in. They are open. They're not open for inspection, but they are open by appointment. We can show it. We can swing the doors open for you. So just call us.
Beautiful.
Rentals and sales.
Thank you.
Thanks, legends. Sorry about being a bit late today. You've had a technical hitch.
All good.
Cheers. See you guys. Bye-bye.